Good morning. It is Friday, July 25th. Here's what we're working on. The fallout from the NHL and Hockey Canada after 5 players are acquitted of sexual assault.
3 miners who were trapped underground in a northwestern BC mine for 60 hours have been rescued.
And the Hamilton Cardinals hand the Welland Jackfish their 3rd loss in a row. Thanks so much for joining us this morning after kind of a stormy night. Did you hear the thunderstorms
Yeah, a little
last night?
bit.
Yes. What about you, Emily?
I always like a good thunderstorm while I'm sleeping.
I do too. I do too. It just feels like, oh, it feels better.
Yeah, it's just good. The sound of rain, there's something to it, right?
Yeah.
But it hasn't really cleared up the temperature that much.
No, it is still incredibly hot and muggy. Yesterday we got up to a high of 32, but felt like 44, but I wasn't complaining. I know, I'm that weird. I get it. Today is going to be another hot day today. We are going to feel closer to 40 when you factor in the humidex. Still a little bit of instability. We're still seeing a few isolated showers. The potential is there for an isolated thunderstorm, but right now relatively dry on the roads. We're looking at 403 and Waterdown Road. Everything is moving slowly. We'll take a look at some of our other cameras throughout the region. This is at Trafalgar. Moving well in both directions. The Garden City Skyway looking west, looking good at this hour. And QEW, this is Mississauga Road, moving well in both directions. And the QEW, the Skyway, the Hamilton side, moving well, starting to pick up a little bit, getting a little busier. We will have your full forecast details coming up in just a moment, but first, the news.
Okay, thanks very much. After 5 former members of Canada's World Junior Hockey team were found not guilty of sexual assault, they won't be returning to the NHL just yet. Tessa Bennett joins us now with the response to the verdict. Good morning.
Good morning, Annette. The judge presiding over this case said yesterday the Crown ultimately failed to prove EM's story beyond a reasonable doubt. In a statement from the NHL, officials say the 5 players will remain ineligible to participate in the league while it reviews those findings. There was lots of reaction outside the courthouse yesterday. Dozens gathered in the evening to show support for the complainant, while rallies earlier in the day saw a mix of supporters for the woman and the players. Dylan Dubé, Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, Callan Foote, and Alex Fermenton were found not guilty of a 2018 sexual assault incident after a lengthy and complicated trial. McLeod's lawyer spoke of resounding vindication after the judge's decisions were read out in the courtroom.
Mr. McLeod had confidence in the justice process, and he welcomes Justice Caricia's decision confirming that he and his co-defendants are not guilty of sexual assault. Justice Caricia's carefully reasoned decision represents a resounding vindication for Mr. McLeod and for his co-defendants.
Meanwhile, the lawyer for complainant EM says the justice system needs to do better.
EM did everything in her power to recount her experience honestly and to the best of her ability. She agreed to do everything asked of her by the criminal justice system. She spoke to the police whenever requested. She reviewed her evidence. She prepared her testimony. She answered every question. She spoke with intelligence and from her heart. Yet it was not enough. Now she questions what more could she have done? As her lawyer, I can tell her there's nothing more she could have done. But that said, the justice system must do better.
London's police chief says he commends EM's outstanding courage and strength in coming forward with her story. I'll send it back to you, Rick.
Thank you, Tessa. 3 workers who were trapped in a remote northern British Columbia mine have been rescued. The operator behind the mine, Newmont, says the miners from Ontario, BC, and Manitoba were safely brought to the surface. The company says, quote, "We are relieved to share that all 3 individuals are safe and in good health and spirits. They had consistent access to food, water, and ventilation while they remained in place in a refuge chamber underground over the last 2 days. They are now being supported by medical and wellness teams. Their families have been notified." They were trapped after 2 rock falls left a pile of debris blocking access that is 20 to 30 meters long and 7 to 8 meters high.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says Israel's handling of humanitarian aid in Gaza is a violation of international law. In a social media post, Carney says Israel's control of aid distribution must be replaced by, quote, comprehensive provision of humanitarian assistance led by international organizations. He adds, quote, many of these are holding significant Canadian-funded aid which has been blocked from delivery to starving civilians. Carney's also calling on Israel and Hamas to negotiate an immediate ceasefire in good faith. Our Foreign Affairs Minister, Anita Anand, will be at a UN conference next week in New York on the issue of a two-state solution in Gaza. This as French President Emmanuel Macron says France is ready to recognize Palestine as a state.
An update to a story we first brought you yesterday. A car chase in central Hamilton has sent a man to hospital with serious injuries, prompting Ontario's police watchdog to step in. The SIU says Hamilton police tried to stop a stolen vehicle on Aikman Avenue near Main and Sanford just before midnight. But the driver took off, slammed into a taxi, and then crashed into a home on Sanford Avenue South.
I stood up and then I heard the police yelling at someone to get out of the car with their hands up, and I actually just went upstairs to check on my son because I was like, I don't know if someone's going to jump out of there, something was going to happen, and I didn't want to exactly be around if something, was coming bang through the window.
The SIU says the 34-year-old man behind the wheel was arrested and taken to hospital. The taxi driver was not seriously injured.
A fire at a Hamilton Mountain pizza shop has caused $750,000 in damage. It wasn't an oven that caught fire at Prime Pizza, but the roof. Flames were visible around 1:30 yesterday afternoon at the pizzeria on Concession Street. It's just between Upper Wellington and Upper Wentworth. Hamilton Fire suspects it may have started as a result of repairs being made on the roof. There was heavy smoke in the ceiling and the attic, causing staff inside to evacuate. It was a stubborn fire, taking crews from across Hamilton about half an hour to bring it under control. The man who was killed in a hit-and-run last week in Lincoln was a retired and respected St. Catharines firefighter. 82-year-old Larry Pierce died last Friday, a day after being hit by his own vehicle at Charles Daly Park near Lake Ontario. It was a spot he went to most mornings for coffee. Niagara police believe that Pierce got out of his SUV to toss out some garbage, then tried to stop the man who got behind the wheel of his vehicle. That's when he was struck and fell.
I don't think this guy, whoever did this, knows how many people he actually hurt.
This incident has really touched and affected our community deeply, and being part of emergency services, it touches us all to a even deeper level.
50-year-old Davy Ricchetti is wanted for second-degree murder in Pierce's death. Police say Ricchetti was seen earlier this week in Mississauga driving Larry Pierce's 2012 Honda CR-V. There is duct tape on the front bumper and duct tape covering the back window.
Sportsline, the CHCH QEW Cup showdown between the Hamilton Cardinals and Welland Jackfish is going the distance. The Cardinals handed the Jackfish their third straight loss, beating their inter-county baseball league leaders 3-1 last night. Hamilton's Owen Boone struck out 7 batters over 6 innings to improve to 6-0. Fernando Rodney struck out the side in the 9th for his 6th save. The final game of the season-long series will take place this Sunday afternoon in Hamilton, with the Jackfish leading 3-2. Tonight, Hamilton hosts Barrie and Welland travels to Brantford. The Blue Jays and Tigers are 2 first-place teams in the American League that are going in opposite directions.
Well hit ball to deep left, and he made him pay. Did he ever?
Ernie Clement and Joey Loporfido hit back-to-back home runs in the 5th inning as the surging Blue Jays blasted the slumping Tigers 11-4. The AL East leading Jays have won 19 of their last 24 games. The AL Central leading Tigers have lost 10 of 11. Nathan Lucas hit a 2-run homer, and Eric Lauer allowed just 1 run over 8 innings and struck out 6. The victory moves Toronto 4.5 games up on the Yankees in the East. What a start to Week 8 of the CFL season in Calgary.
For the lead on the road here in Calgary. That is up. Has the line. Nails it with room to spare. What a kick from Jose Maltos. 57-yard deep shot to put the Alouettes on top.
Jose Meltos booted the longest field goal of his career with 70 seconds to go as the Alouettes squeezed past the Stampeders 23-21. McLeod Bethel Thompson threw for 280 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception as Montreal improved to 5-2 tops in the East Division. Dietrich Mills ran for 2 touchdowns for the 5-2 Stamps, who had their 3-game winning streak snapped. Tonight, the Elks travel to Saskatchewan. The Ticats go for their 5th win in a row Sunday night in BC. The NHL Players Association says the 5 players acquitted of sexual assaults in the high-profile trial in London should be allowed to resume their NHL careers. As Tessa mentioned in her report, the NHL says the players are ineligible to play while the league reviews the judge's findings. The PA says ruling the players ineligible while the NHL further evaluates is inconsistent with the League and Players Association's collective bargaining agreement. Michael McLeod, Carter Hart, Dylan Dubé, and Callan Foote were active NHL players at the time of their arrest last year, while Formenton has not played in the league since 2022. Canadian Adam Svensson made a 48-foot eagle putt on the final hole for a tournament record-tying 11 under 60, giving him a 2-shot lead after round 1 of the 3M Open. The Surrey, BC native made 9 birdies and did not drop a shot yesterday. Dundas's Mackenzie Hughes and fellow Canadian Adam Hadwin are 6 shots behind. Taylor Pendrith is 8 off the pace. NASCAR is planning to hold a race next year at a U.S. naval base. The first of its kind street races will be held at Naval Base Coronado in San Diego in June 2026 and will coincide with the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Navy. Tickets go on sale this fall. Hamilton's Forge FC can jump into top spot in the Canadian Premier League tonight with a win in Halifax. The Hammers are the CPL's only unbeaten side at 8-0-7. They sit 1 point behind first place Atletico Ottawa.
Taking a look at some of our traffic cameras, it is still a very hot and muggy day, so that's what you need to dress for if you're just about to head out the door today. We're looking at the 403 at Waterdown Road, traffic moving well in both directions. We'll take a look at some of our other cameras throughout the area. 403 at Dundas, looking good. This is at Glen Erin Drive on the 403. Both directions moving well. This is the Garden City Skyway traveling east, also looking good at this hour. Still fairly early, and it is a Friday, so we're not anticipating too many issues on the roads today. And that's the QEW at Walker's Line, looking good. All right, some thunderstorms last night may have kept you awake. We're still seeing a little bit of instability in the atmosphere, seeing some of those cells firing up. But for the most part, they have eased throughout the GTHA. London's still seeing the potential for a few isolated cells up along the shores of Huron and Georgian Bay as well, starting to see that. We do still have that heat warning in place issued by Environment Canada. Parts of southern Ontario really feeling muggy. Daytime highs up to 30, feeling more like 40 when you factor in the humidity, and it's still going to be hot tonight, only dropping down to about 21. Out the door this morning, it is going to be a mix of sun and cloud, temperatures into the 20s. I don't know why that says 17. It's not right. We do have that chance to see a few isolated showers. The potential is there for some thunderstorms. And then this afternoon, pretty much right across the board through Simcoe, through Hamilton, Mississauga, Milton, and Toronto, everybody getting up to a daytime high of 30. Again, with that humidex feeling more like 40. Tonight, staying really muggy, 19, 20 degrees, partly cloudy. There's still the potential for us to see a little bit of instability throughout the day tomorrow. Some convective cells firing up later on in the afternoon. Daytime highs, touch cooler. It's not going to feel that much cooler, but they are a touch cooler. 28 degrees for Mississauga, 28 degrees for Kitchener, Milton at 30, Burlington seeing a daytime high of 28. We'll have more on your long-range details just ahead, but back to you guys at the desk.
Okay, coming up after the break, Emily's going to move to a different camera position and give us a preview of what's to come in Chit Chat. And the federal government is feeling encouraged ahead of next week's tariff deadline with the United States. Oh, hello again to Emily in a different spot. You're getting your steps in.
I am. I just trotted my way over from the weather maps. Okay, Chit Chat.
Yes.
This is going to be a collective on all of us today because we are going to be talking about some stuff that we all have good opinions on. But first, Chapel Roan has announced some pop-up concerts, but fans may have to travel to see her.
Okay.
Pink Pony Club has been stuck in a few heads this morning. Our makeup artist, Stephanie, was like, oh, I can't get it out of my head. Now I have it in my head. Thanks, Steph. And we'll get a look at Leo DiCaprio's newest film. And later on this morning, we'll take a look at the New York Times list of the top 100 movies of the 21st century. Century. There we go. On it. Third
and
time's
I've actually
the charm.
seen most of them.
You totally have, and you picked two of the best ones. So I was like, well, Annette's already picked those. I can't pick them. Every time.
We will discuss.
Yes.
Okay, thanks very much, Emily. In overseas trading this morning, the Canadian dollar is down 11 basis points, just over 73 cents U.S. after weak retail sales suggests that the Canadian economy is slowing a bit. More on that in just a moment. Gold this morning is down another $26 an ounce. Crude is up 39 cents to $66.42 U.S. Midday trading in Europe, markets are down in London and Frankfurt, but up just a little bit in Paris.
Over in Asia, markets were down across the board, including triple-digit losses in Tokyo and Hong Kong. And in North American markets yesterday, the TSX lost 44 points, the Dow dropped over 300, and the Nasdaq gained 37 points.
Well, this must have been awkward. U.S. President Donald Trump has been fact-checked face-to-face by the head of the U.S. Federal Reserve. It happened during a tour of the Reserve headquarters.
It looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed. This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added
our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's not new.
I don't know whether to look away or to want to keep watching that. The visit marked a rare move by a U.S. president to publicly pressure the U.S. Central Bank, which operates independently of the government. By the way, Trump appointed Jerome Powell during his first term as president.
Canada U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc says he's feeling encouraged after his latest meeting with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and American lawmakers in Washington, D.C. However, LeBlanc also suggested that a new economic and security arrangement with the U.S. may not materialize in time for President Donald Trump's latest deadline of August 1st. Trump has threatened to impose 35% tariffs on Canada if there is no deal by that date. LeBlanc added that Ottawa will only be in a position to accept a deal when the Prime Minister decides that if it is in the best interest of Canadian workers and the Canadian economy.
Canada's retail sales fell more than 1% to roughly $69 billion in May. StatsCan says that was driven by a 3.6% decrease in sales at vehicle and parts dealers. Food and beverage retailers saw sales fall a little more than 1%, with sales dropping as well at beer, wine, and liquor stores. Looking ahead, StatsCan's preliminary figures for June point to a sales increase of retail sales of 1.6%.
Loblaw Companies made a $714 million profit in its second quarter. That's up from nearly $500 million a year ago. The parent company of Loblaws and Shoppers Drug Mart says customer traffic, basket size, and item count all increased year over year. Revenue for the quarter rose to $14.7 billion. Food retail same-store sales rose by 3.5%, while drug retail same-store sales increased by more than 4%.
Okay, taking a quick break right now. Emily is going to be back with your traffic and your 7-day forecast.
Okay, 6:23, and we're taking a look at the QEW. This is the Skyway, and moving well both directions. Traffic tends to be a little lighter on Fridays, especially in the summer, so that's good news if you are heading out. QEW at Ontario Street also moving well in both directions. QEW at Lorne Park looking good at this hour. And QEW at Thompson Road, yeah, we just don't have it. Sorry. And QEW at 7th Street, looking good. Roads are a little wet, though, so you can see they just recently had a shower through that region, and that's going to be kind of the trend throughout the morning hours. We do still have a little bit of convective activity moving around, so could see an isolated thunderstorm, possibly a little bit of a shower. You can still see them on the radar. Clouds are moving out. We will see a little bit of sunshine throughout the day today. Hamilton in about, well, half hour for your morning commute around 7 a.m. We're looking at 22 degrees. Niagara 23, and Halton 22, chance of a few isolated showers. So maybe bring your umbrella. Heat warning still remains in place, feeling more like 40 when you factor in the humidity. So again, give yourself a little extra time in the air conditioning if you have it, for sure, because you don't want to be dealing with that stifling heat throughout the afternoon. 30 is our daytime high. The UV still considered very high. We've got light winds. The potential is there for a few isolated showers. Tonight, we're looking at 20 through the overnight, so still very muggy, uncomfortable for sleeping. Mainly cloudy conditions, and then throughout the day tomorrow, we'll see kind of a mix of sunshine, a little cloud cover, and the potential is there for some isolated thunderstorms throughout the afternoon. Light winds, UV 8, which is still considered very high. All right, quick look at our 7-day forecast, where we do have the potential for a few isolated showers today. Could see an isolated thunderstorm throughout the day tomorrow. Still hot, feeling more like 37 when you factor in the humidex values. By Sunday, we're looking at a mix of sun and cloud. Again, that 40% chance of a few isolated showers. Still muggy, and it's remaining hot as we get into the beginning of next week. But by the time we get to midweek, things are looking good. All right, I'm going to turn things back to the desk.
Okay, thanks very much. Well, Lego is going retro with a replica of the original Nintendo Game Boy.
The handheld Game Boy video game system came out in 1989. The Lego set with 421 bricks comes with 2 game cartridges, The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening and Super Mario Land. You can't play the games, but there are interchangeable screens for the Game Boy. Classic Nintendo start screen or one from either of the 2 games. The Lego sets are currently available for pre-order and will be for sale in stores October 1st. The price tag, $79.99 Canadian. And
notice an adult building them, right? They know their target.
Yes.
But we were talking in the break before, like, what happened to just like a, can you even buy just like a box of Lego anymore?
The regular Lego bricks?
Yeah.
I guess so. I think the answer is yes. Maybe we should bring some Lego on set one of these days.
Oh, that would be fun.
A little thing in the middle.
That would be fun. Just nobody step on it.
Yes, please not.
Oh, that's our cue.
That's our cue? Okay.
It's time to go.
Stay with us. More to come after the break here on Morning Live.